be on PlayStation. You get nicer.
Yeah. I wanted I wanted
these
the
boxes.
go ahead. I wanted the PS5 like developer jacket, like the quilted one. But that's only for internal teams. I'm a little sad.
Aw.
Yeah. Babu.
I did get an Xbox Fan Fest jacket.
Nice, nice.
I just like figured why not just drip out during the fall time.
Smooth, smooth. I did get a Koji Pro shirt though, so I'm excited to wear that.
I might get some of the Splitgate merch that they just shared out, but we'll see what the paycheck's looking like.
You'll be good. You make money. I know you. You're a college graduate.
Yeah, the college graduate that's debt free, so you know. It's a
my,
good benefit to have.
Yeah, my old lady's gonna be debt free soon. She's a doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
and she's definitely gonna be making the money then too.
That's what I tell her. Get rich so I can stay at home. So I can stop working. That's what I tell her. I'm tired.
Let's live off your money.
Yeah, I know. Let me be a stay-at-home. Look, stay-at-home dad. Look, I'll wear whatever lingerie you want. House will be clean. Meals will be cooked.
There you go.
Come through.
Your job makes a lot though, right? Like you were talking about that.
Yeah, currently right now I make because it's I can't really talk about it, but anyways, I make half up front and then I make 6 figures throughout the year.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's why that's why I was telling you guys, like, to me financially, I'm not really worried about a $60 or $70 video game.
Yeah.
But I understand that everybody else's background may be different. So to me, the price to performance, modifier is a big deal to me. Like if I get 8 hours out of Spider-Man or 12 hours of Ratchet and Clank, to me, I'm happy doing that because I work so much that I'm happy to have short games, right? But there are a lot of people that don't work as much as me and that have a lot more free time and a life. So they're able to play video games. And to them, like, they want, like Windu, he plays video games professionally as a living. So to him, he needs, a clout, or not clout, but like adequate engagement for a video game and for it to actually last and not run out of steam. That's something that's important to his viewership or his audience. Where to me, if it runs out of steam after 8 hours, I'm like,
yeah, getting popular on Twitch is a really, really hard thing. Now I'm really surprised how Myth came up. The TSM Myth.
Yeah,
remember when he had
he unfollowed me on Twitter. That's so disrespectful.
Really?
Yeah, he forgot all about me, dude. Like we used to play Paragon and shit together. I still have like Twitter DMs where we would just hang out, and then now it's like, oh, unfollow, don't know who you are. I still have photos with him, like we hung out like real life. But
speaking of Twitter, there's this app that I just found out today where you click on it and it shows who your Twitter crushes. I told the site not to share this.
Nice.
And it's now on my Twitter. Ricky, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I told the website not to share this. But I think it's based off like the last person you interact with.
Interactions? So. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My Twitter crush would probably be my friend Leslie then. I interact with her a whole lot on Twitter.
Shout out to whoever makes these Twitter side apps or programs.
Yeah, all these Twitter programs are interesting.
I clicked do not tweet this out and it tweeted it anyway. I'm like, please don't hate me. Man.
Do you stream often, Melodic?
I try to during like the beginning of this year, even like before then, I was doing like mini streams like during the weekdays as I was trying to grow to be affiliate with Halo Master Chief Collection. I haven't been streaming a whole lot right now just because it's summertime. This room gets ridiculously hot. So trying to hold down a 2.5 to 3 hour stream in this room, it's a nightmare. That's why I kept the fan going on full blast. Over here.
Well, I'll show you some support. You seem like a good dude. So from a fellow small streamer, I will give you a follow.
I'll give you a follow too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Friday, Skyward Sword HD. I'll stream it so you don't have to.
Nice. Twilight Princess is my favorite.
Majora's Mask is my favorite.
Nice.
I love Majora's Mask.
Alright, so we're just waiting on Windu right now.
Yeah.
1 second.
This is like the pre-podcast. We are live right now, but it's just the pre-podcast.
He always does it, bro. He always fucking does it.
Yeah, he's on
while we're
CPT.
setting up everything.
He's on CPT, so.
Wow. You're not even black though. Oh my god.
Yeah, but like colored people is like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what a colored person looks like.
Yeah. I feel that. Yo, Windu is actually about to lose, I think, because I'm in the same match with him at the minute. I'll let you know. Yeah.
But yeah. Bro, I follow your podcast on Spotify. Just want to let you know that.
Oh, it's podcasts on Spotify?
Yes, this is on Spotify. You put it up, which I think is pretty cool.
I'm actually on Spotify as well, but not as a podcaster, but as a music artist.
Cool.
Yeah, I use a DistroKid for all my distribution. Really cool service. Do you all use like Anchor or whatever to get the podcast uploaded to Spotify?
Yeah, that's what I use. Yeah, Anchor.
Okay. So I know a few people that use Anchor. Just 1 second. Somebody's messaging me.
Let's see. Do you have your computer specs on your channel?
Oh, who, me?
Talking about
Yeah.
me?
You
Huh?
too, Krow. I don't see your computer spec.
I don't know.
I'm always interested in what other people's
I
computers
think
look like.
I got my PC specs on.
Yeah.
It's on my setup video that I did, but it's kind of changed right now because I have for my main PC, I have it in a new case, and then whatever was in the primary build at that time is in the old case. So I'll have to make an updated video on that, or spec list or whatever.
Yeah, I just checked mine today. I think I updated my setup. I also updated my information on my Twitch channel, Krow, to accommodate you. On the podcast tab, it says that I'm a panel of your podcast. So
Nice, I appreciate it.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I always like listening to the old episodes every now and then.
Well, there's a lot of information in it, and I always like hanging out with you guys.
I upgraded my CPU like a couple months back. I went from a 1700X to a 5800X.
Nice.
And first time using a liquid cooler too, so
Hot.
it's really cool.
Yeah, I have a 2950X, so I
Yeah,
feel
and
you.
then my old motherboard and CPU that was in my previous streaming build PC, that's like, so basically like
Are you selling
I
it?
took maybe I haven't really done a whole lot on
Okay.
eBay or whatever, but basically like I just took both my builds at the time, combined the best of both builds into one system, and then whatever used to be my primary PC is now in the old primary PC case.
Well, let me
'Cause-
know. I am willing to buy your parts here in the near future if you still have them available. A friend of mine wants to build a computer because he is a computer scientist, computer science engineer, whatever.
Yeah.
Blah, blah.
It's a Ryzen 2600 CPU, and then just a regular, I think it's a gigabyte motherboard.
Alright, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy with that.
Alright,
But,
I finished my game. I lost. God damn it.
Yeah.
Game top.
Come on,
Game
y'all.
top
I don't
four.
have a lot of time. I got like an hour to hang out with y'all before I
Yeah.
dip.
Trying to
So-
All of us are on a time restraint.
Yeah, my work starts at like some obscene time. So I
haven't even had dinner yet.
I'm
Alright,
only ate half of my dinner before I turned on my computer.
Okay,
I ate,
I'm gonna give Window 1 minute, then we're gonna start for.
Okay. Joker, did you see my friend's sick GTI just absolutely rip it in the parking lot of my work?
Sorry, say that again. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, I posted a video of my friend's GTI because he was building one, and he absolutely ripped it in the work parking lot. And I posted a video on Twitter, and we were going way too fast.
Oh, was that the video?
crazy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw that video. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, we were on
Like,
lunch, dude. That's the best part. We were on lunch. He was
Wow.
like, "Hey, you want to go launch my car?" I was like, "Hell yeah, dude."
I work on airport property. If you were to do that on there, TSA gonna be giving you a fine.
I work on private property. That's
Yeah.
like government facilitated. So we're, there's like a gate and fences and everything to get back in there. There's like, 2 levels of security. So there's nobody back there but us.
It's crazy.
Bro, that
Alright,
video when I saw, I was
so-
there like, I was like, ooh, what's this video? Let's have a look. And then afterwards, bam, I was there like, ooh.
Yeah, he was straight
Interesting.
ripping it, dude. He was straight ripping it. Oh, it was so fun. He just got the new wheels on it too. So I haven't taken it. I haven't had him take me out in it just yet. Hey,
Okay,
Windu.
nice. We got Windu here.
What up?
Hey,
What
we're
up?
just
Sorry for being late.
Hello.
no, it's all good. We're
I gotta
we're just
change
talking
it.
about how my friend took his 400 horsepower GTI and ripped it in the parking lot at work.
Lit.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Ah.
All right, so let's go ahead and start. Let's see our mic levels. So let's do a mic test.
Hello. This is Test.
Mic
Testing.
check, mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Check 1, 2, testing, check.
All right, check. Okay. All right. Let me just okay. All right, yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to Nest Talk episode 9. This is your host, the Sly Krow, and this is the show where we talk about some of the big gaming headlines and what's trending in the gaming media. So, as always, I'm here with my man, Agent Deli.
Hello. My name is Agent Deli. I'm an ex AAA game developer at Ubisoft. Thank you, Krow. I really appreciate you bringing me back here time and time again.
Hey, for sure. I definitely appreciate your input on the topics, and yeah, your jacket looking fly right now. You're repping
Thank you. I
PlayStation.
really appreciate that. Hey, you
Ooh.
know what? Hey, thank you. Hey, shout out to PlayStation for this. Actually, thank
Yo.
you for this.
That's dope.
I'm jelly.
Yeah, I'm
look,
jealous.
Look, it's even got
Oh,
the.
wow.
No, that's
yeah.
straight
It's,
like
so
that.
it's,
Oh
bro,
my God.
it's straight heat, bro. It's straight heat.
Turn this man down. Whoa.
I know, man. Chill. We don't need that kind of flex in here.
Yeah, my bad, big dog. My bad, big dog.
All right, then we got my guy from the UK, Joker Gamer V3.
What's up, people? Thank you for having me, Krow, again on this another episode. And it's good to see the similar faces like Deli, Windu, you, and obviously, nice to meet you, Melodic. This is the first time I'm meeting you, so yeah,
Nice to
man.
meet you.
It's gonna be interesting. Let's see.
And yo, by the way, how did you feel when England lost the Euro Cup?
Don't start. Fucking hell, I was heartbroken.
Subject.
Bro, I was heartbroken as shit because we were so close to winning it, but unfortunate, it happens in penalties. You can't control that shit.
Yeah, man, they had so many good chances. Like that one cross, like it was so close on the header opportunity.
Yo, it's
That's
not
too
even
bad.
the cross that I'm salty about. The fact is that the Italian defender just yanked one of our strikers forwards and didn't even get a booking, didn't even get nothing, and he just
Damn.
bet.
Oh,
that's
I
what I'm
forgot
salty
that.
about.
Yeah. All right, so we have my good friend, Windu the Mace.
What up? Appreciate you having me back, even though I'm totally the reason why we started late. But thank you guys for waiting. Appreciate
Hey,
y'all.
they already got you floating out like it's Among Us. You're in space right now.
Yeah, low key, I'm already sus. I know. I'm sorry.
Hey, you've been sus this whole time.
All right, and we have a special guest here. We have the Melodic Punk. Appreciate you coming through.
Thanks for having me on. What's up, everybody? This is Melodic Punk. I'm a small YouTuber, Twitch streamer, and I play on everything. Of course, a lot of people think that doesn't exist. You can't like every single platform, but on top of gaming, I also do music as well. So thank you for having me on, Krow.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to have a fellow Nintendo fan on the podcast. So I definitely appreciate you coming through. And
Yes,
so
Nintendo baby.
yeah, for sure. All right, so once again, guys, welcome to episode 9, and the title of this episode is The King of Finesse, as we're going to be talking about Nintendo's sketchy practices as of late, and also when they coming out with a Nintendo OLED model 5 years after the release, and still not upgrading the hardware. So that's definitely looking sus on Nintendo's part. So we're going to be talking about that much later on. But first, we're going to get into our first topic, which is kind of old news at this point, but I wanted to hear your guys' opinions. So on July the 1st, we had PlayStation acquiring 2 studios. They did acquire House Marquee. And so, they did bring out their AAA game. It was Returnal. And honestly, like, there was a lot of skepticism of Returnal when it first launched. The fact that, is this game, people had the idea, is this game really worth the full $70? Because this is it's a roguelike game, right? So, a lot of people thought, is a roguelike really worth $70? But the other side of it is that, this is a AAA, this is the first of its kind. It's a AAA roguelike, so it is a huge risk that House Marquee is undertaking. And they did get the funding from Sony to make this game. So, it's definitely nice to see them get their flowers here. So I'm going to pass it to Deli. So what are your thoughts on this acquisition of House Marquee?
Well, I think that House Marquee was able to create Returnal, which is such a huge departure from their previous game in size of scale, quality. It's still within the same genre or like style, but it's much different in terms of quality and scale, which is something that a developer like House Marquee could have screwed up royally. But I think that coming from those guys and how the game launched, I feel like it's second nature to them, to those employees at House Marquee, to create a game on such a scale successfully. Because PlayStation has had other smaller studios come in and create big genre busting games before for them in the last decade, and they have come out to be more to be desired. So to me, I think that House Marquee is an acquisition that is one, great for PlayStation because they have another genre under their belt, especially since they currently are not able to acquire Platinum Games, which is a premier roguelike company that also creates very, very high quality character action games, Bayonetta. And of course, Hideki Kamiya originally worked on the original Devil May Cry, so he has a lot of the backbone of what makes a character action genre game successful. Games like Vanquish and Beautiful Joe are games under his belt that are very, very popular as well too. So yeah, I think House Marquee is a great acquisition.
All right, yeah, that's definitely some high praise there. And if you notice, House Marquee, they're a studio known for making indie games. So in the past they did make they made Resogun and also Nex Machina. And I did play a bit of Nex Machina. It's definitely a great co-op game. And seeing them slowly rise up from an indie developer to a AAA developer, it's definitely nice to see them grow up like that. And so I'm gonna pass it to the Melodic Punk. And so what were your thoughts on what do you play with Returnal?
So with House Marquee, the only game I played from them was Returnal. When it comes to Sony, I played PS1 and PS2 over at friends' houses, but I didn't really own a PlayStation for myself until PS4 when that released. Returnal, back when they were doing the reveals for the PS5, that was the game that intrigued me the most just because of like the art style, how the game plays and everything like that. Obviously, with it being $70 for a roguelike, I was a bit skeptical as well. But I managed to get the game for only $5 out of my pocket because I had leftover PlayStation Store money. And I love the game, dude. Like, as somebody who really likes Metroidvanias type of games. It kind of felt like a Metroidvania that also, had all the roguelike stuff as well. And yes, it was challenging, and yes, that is a game you have to be careful to not break, because if that game like were to ever crash on you, you have to start all over. But my experience with the game, I loved it, and I 100% recommend it. I can understand why people didn't want to buy it for 70, but I had a lot of fun with that game. So with Sony acquiring Housemarque, they've been working together in the past. It seems like with all of Sony's recent acquisitions, especially with Insomniac, they're picking up studios that they've had history before. Because I thought Insomniac was essentially already a Sony studio, with the exception of Sunset Overdrive, which they worked with Microsoft on. So it makes sense for Sony to pick up studios like Housemarque and Insomniac. So,
Yeah. And if you look at the track record for Housemarque, like they've had 8 interactions with Sony. So they have a track record of developing games specifically for Sony over the years. So yeah.
I wonder why it took them so long. Because Sony's been on a bit of a buying spree to try and counter Microsoft's random, like, hey, let's just keep acquiring studios that everybody's just like, okay, congrats, sort of deal.
I think the challenge, or I think the competition play here is that because Bethesda was such a huge acquisition, like
Yeah,
let's say
definitely.
Bethesda has like 50 IPs, which I'm sure they have like 50 IPs, right? And of course ZeniMax, the parent company, as well too. So they probably do have like 50 IPs. And so Sony doesn't have like a big budget studio or a big budget third party publisher that has that much power and that much pull in the gaming industry itself. So in order to acquire smaller, more successful titles, they're able to build up their repertoire into the double digits, into 25, 30 studios maybe, or into 25 and 30 IPs with 10 smaller, very, very tight knit and high quality, high functioning studios.
Makes sense. 10 pawns control the board more than a bishop does,
Yes.
for sure.
To be honest with you, like for me, the earliest memory of me even playing a Housemarque game was, I think it was called Alien Incident. That was on a MS DOS, bro. This is talking 1995, when I was like 5, 6 years old, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first time I actually played a game from there. And then when I'm speaking MS DOS, that's like, I'm ancient. That shows you my age.
Yeah. I played Super Stardust. Super Stardust.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
Super
the game that I
Stardust was
really
the other
liked.
one too.
Yeah, Super Stardust was
that
fun.
was a sick game. That was a sick game. But yeah, I'm happy for Sony because they're able to acquire a studio like that and provide us with much more options when it comes to genres that they can bring in to this competition. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what they're going to be creating in future, along with having Returnal under their belt. So it's going to be a very good, interesting take on how they're going to utilize that studio. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the whole entire steady process game. Just climbing up slowly. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, man.
I'm sure
I will
Housemarque.
say,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, my bad. I was just gonna say, I will say, Sony definitely, ever since they came out with Horizon Zero Dawn back in the day, right?
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
definitely taken more of an interest towards visually appealing games, right? And Returnal looks dope, man. Like, I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to play it,
I have
but
not.
you go through. It's super immersive. You're in a world. You're like, this looks dope. Like,
the
it's crazy.
atmosphere is amazing in Returnal.
Yes. And then you die, and you're like, okay, great. And then you come back, and I'm like, where am I now? What the? Why is it raining? Like, it's honestly super immersive is a word that I'm going to use. And them adding that along with other bigger games that are just visually appealing, it definitely looks like they're trying to make a play like, hey, our console supports quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that sort of play.
And Housemarque definitely backs that up with the versatility that they have. Imagine in your repertoire that your resume that your last 3 or 4 games are top down 2D esque, isometric shooter or roguelikes, bullet hells, right?
Mhm.
And then now this next game that you see on the PlayStation on a brand new console, and a lot of people just wait, what's House Marquee? Like who did they make? Or what did they make? Like they made Resogun, and that's like
It's a big flex.
a lot of people's introduction to them is Resogun, and it starts and ends there, right? So then you come into a game like Returnal, where it's not only is it AAA quality, it's huge. It's almost a huge departure style and scale wise from their previous game, and to me that's why I think it's such a beautiful acquisition for for Sony, because it's like House Marquee is showing that their versatility. Like not only do we make 2D games, we can make
Great point.
3D styled games that also stand on par toe to toe with people, with our peers like over there in Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch. So to me, it's just like even if you were to take House Marquee away from the roguelike genre, you're able to drop them into something like, let's say they make a Metal Gear Solid remake. Boom. They have the versatility, they have the strength, they have the quality to do so without falling or crumbling. So yeah, that further backs up my opinion on why House Marquee is such a valuable acquisition.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see House Marquee with the bigger budget in their future games, and to see what's in store in the future for PlayStation. And so the other acquisition they've made was Nix's Software. And so this company's actually been known to do PC ports. They have worked on PC ports in the past, such as Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and the Tomb Raider trilogy. And I've played the Tomb Raiders on PC, and they are really, really well optimized, and it can run on pretty low end hardware as well. So definitely good to see this acquisition. And we know that Uncharted 4 is on its way to PC. And so you never know, like maybe they may work on Uncharted trilogy port next. And so let me guys ask you this question. So which games do you think PlayStation will keep on their platform, and which games do you think is going to PC with this acquisition?
I think it's more of a time thing. I think all of them they're going to keep on the platform, but after a year, they might work on transferring to PC.
Yeah.
Once the hype dies down. But I think they'll keep. Yeah, I think they're gonna. Since we're talking about finesse, I think they're gonna finesse the exclusivity. Be like, you want to play it first? Play it on the PlayStation. A year later, you could get it on PC. Why not? It's already old news.
4 to 5 year mark, I think about halfway through generation. To me, I think that with the idea of finessing something, you have exclusivity on a platform where obviously it's in the word, you only play it on that platform. Horizon Zero Dawn, right? It generates a massive revenue. It generates huge buzz. It generates quality, fan base, customer retention specifically for the console or for the platform. And then you go, okay, now it's past its market window. So, the 3 to 5 month mark. And then they gauge the numbers, and then they go gauge the numbers for the 1 year mark, the 2 year mark. And then, of course, if they greenlight a sequel, I think to me, when they greenlight a sequel, is like, okay, that's when we bring it over to the PC, right? Because every single time a sequel is announced, bring it over to PC. Every single time. Like, it's on the dot every single time.
Once the old generation is kind of dying down, the hype is on the new one.
Yeah, of course.
So you think they're going to do that even with Spider-Man?
Yeah, eventually, I mean, you would think that, like, the new Spider-Man, because mind you, the old Spider-Man was on PlayStation 4, and then the new one is also cross-generational on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. If the next one or whatever it may be is exclusive to the PlayStation 5, they may do something along the lines of, like, from 2018 to 2023. In 2022, 2023, they bring, the remastered version of Spider-Man
or PC,
PlayStation 4 to the PC to generate buzz for, like, hey guys, not only do you guys have a quality Spider-Man game on the PC, now you guys are able to see what our customers and our fan base have been raving about in these last 5 years. And then on top of that, come buy our PlayStation console that's marked down in price because it's been 5 years, or come buy the Slim, or come
could
hang
see
out
that.
with Spider-Man
True.
2. You know, I think that there is no doubt that Insomniac will ask to port it to PC. And I don't think that because Sony does work with 505 games quite often.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, 505 has been making a lot of indie. Is it indie games on PC? Is that what they're known for?
No, 505 is I can't remember what the last game they made was, but the last game they ported was Control and Death Stranding.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think PlayStation will keep a few IPs. Like I really think they're gonna keep Ratchet and Clank. As for the Spider-Man franchise, I think they're gonna keep that as well. Like if you keep in mind, like PlayStation 5, it has the haptics, for Spider-Man. So I think with Miles Morales, I think that's gonna be kept on PlayStation. They might bring over the first Spider-Man to PC.
I
You know,
think
I'm gonna
just-
disagree with that because on Steam, if you have like one of the client betas, you can actually use haptic feedback on the PS5
True.
controller. It's just a matter of time of when they're gonna put that in the updated version of Steam.
Oh yeah, that's
Very
pretty
true.
interesting because I've also like read recently. This is like a rumor. I think Microsoft is working on their own haptics for their controller. So yeah, maybe this is gonna be like a universal thing. So
I can see that. I can actually see Microsoft working on it ever since the whole entire buzz, like players, especially on the PlayStation 5, got the experience to, use that controller to the fullest extent for certain games already. So obviously there's a gap. Like there's a gap in the market where these Xbox players would love to have that kind of a feature for their controllers too. So yeah, I can. That's a very smart move, I can say, on behalf of Microsoft to actually be like, hey, you know what? Let's provide something for our consoles too, so that people don't get put off by it, and we can actually keep them hooked on. Because you don't want them like through. If I think it through Microsoft's point of view, like you don't want an existing customer base that they already have moving over to a different, product. So I can see that actually working out for them, and also, possibly giving that like driver support for the Xbox controllers on the PC too. So it could be a very beneficial thing to acquire for them to have that as a feature.
Yeah, I think on your topic, Crow, I think that two IPs that you won't see on PC are Gran Turismo Sport and Ratchet and Clank, which are the two
oh, that's a
highest
good
selling
one.
IPs for Sony. So it
And
would make no sense to port them to PC when they are already very, very successful on their own platform.
I agree with
Even
that
if
on
old,
Deli too.
like you said, even if old, like if Gran Turismo 7 comes out, you don't think 5 should
Gran
be on
Turismo
PC?
Sport has been out for at least 5 years, and Gran Turismo 5 and Prologue have been out for longer than that.
Yeah, usually it's every 5 to 6 years, maybe 7 that they'd
so-
release a game.
I agree with Deli on that point of view. Like Gran Turismo is their game, and also Sony's mascot is Ratchet and Clank, right? So
Yes.
you're not gonna be giving away your mascot, especially to I would say a contender like a PC game, to be honest. So I don't see Ratchet and Clank going on there. Maybe if they got Jack and Daxter, probably that would go, but nah, I don't see Ratchet and Clank coming through to PC.
The thing
Yeah.
with Sony is kind of like with Nintendo, they have such a big backlog of legacy titles that they could be putting to use. Because it's like, look, if you're not going to put PS2, PS1 classics on your store, at least put them to the PC. Like, make that money that's on the floor that people want to pick up and play. And on top of that, it would reduce risk of piracy and emulation on, things like RetroArch and stuff like that. So it's just like, why not just look at the back catalog that you have and just say, hey, we plan on doing nothing with Jack and Daxter, for example. Let's put the original trilogy on Steam.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that with their highest selling IPs, I think that it would be best for them to keep them on their own platforms. Uncharted is making its way up to the top. They're within, I believe, within their top 5. So I definitely can see them at this point saying like, "Hey, let's just put that onto PC." Just because it's already ridden out its critical acclaim for so many years, for almost a
Mhm.
decade now. So why not just give the PC players that? But God of War still the new one anyway, still brand
Yeah.
new. Because if
Mhm.
we're looking at the new trilogy, still brand new. Gran Turismo 6 hasn't launched yet.
Mhm.
And Ratchet and Clank just came back for a reboot because their last sequel was like 2013. So
Yeah.
because the 2016 one was a remake of the original. So I guess I wouldn't count that one because it's not a direct sequel to the original.
All right. Yes, definitely a lot of good points there. And so, moving on here. So we're going to be moving on to our next topic, which is, Google Stadia is back in the news. So actually, there
Oh
was an
Lord.
article I read recently where, Google Stadia did launch on the Android TV.
Mhm.
And in less than 2 weeks of it being on the Android TV, it reached 50K downloads. And honestly, this really surprised me because this came at a time when there was little advertising for this. So do you guys think that Stadia is still popular? Given that more and more people are
I mean,
still looking into it.
I can see people, especially people with Android TVs, right, having being a bit curious about how this is going to be working. So I can see the downloads come from that aspect as well, and also people who don't particularly own a console and would love to get into gaming, but just they don't know how to do it. Like either they don't own a PC or they don't want to own a console, but you just got like these casual gamers, working people that just want, like, you know what, since I can get Stadia, since I already have Stadia or whatever it is, and
Mhm.
I got an Android TV, let me go ahead and play through that. Why not? It's just a controller at the end of the day, and everything is run through clouding, so I don't have to fork out a shit ton of money to buy a console, right? And if when I wouldn't put it as a term as like, is Google Stadia still popular? I mean, let's just be honest, it's not that popular amongst gaming community, right? It's
Yeah,
not been that
facts.
popular at all. Second thing is, like, even if they have that bunch of games ported on there just for people to experience it, it's just gonna be like stay at home people, like stay at home dads or stay at home moms who would love to just try it out when they will have a free time, or people who are really really busy and they just want to be able to chill out a little bit, like during break time or whatever it is, just to experience that little bit of a freedom. So yeah, I can see that getting that 50K downloads from there. But however, they still need to improve a lot of things on that platform, right? They have a shit ton of things that they need to improve on when it comes to lags, when it comes to input lags, when it comes to, like, issues with connectivity. I mean, what was it? The beginning point when they launched Google Stadia, they required you to have something around like 5 megabytes per second speed. I think
Mhm.
something, I can't remember, right?
Or I think
And
15. I think is
was it
the mark
15?
that you. I think it's 15.
Yeah. So something like that. Like at that time, this is one thing. Of course, now we got 4G and 5G, thing. But sometimes having that 4G connectivity in like a closed off area is difficult to hit that even 15 megabytes per speed down, like, streaming capability. And I'm not sure how long it's going to go forward because there are so many products out there. But I can understand why they put it on Android TV, because
Mhm.
it's an ecosystem, right? It's a Google ecosystem, so everything's going to be working out very well, and it is a Google product. So just like how you got your phones now, Android phones, you have YouTube pre-installed, you have Google Play installed, you have Chrome pre-installed, you have Google Music, Google Play videos, all of those things installed. So I guess putting Google Stadia up there is not going to be much of a difficulty. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So um, and also people, if they want to download it, they can choose to download it now. But if not, I can see future, like obviously Android is not the actual platform that they wanted to progress with, but they are working on a better environment behind the scenes, which is going to overtake Android, and that's going to be replaced. So I can see Google Stadia in this whole entire thing. So yeah, it's possible that they're still trying to push Google Stadia, but to being to the height of its popularity in order to compare with PlayStation, Microsoft, PC, I don't see that being that great there. I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest with
and they
To
did the
me,
rev.
Stadia is the Tesla of gaming, is the way I see it.
You really
Like
think
a
so?
vet. Well, because here's the thing, man. Especially with the issues
think
that
it's-
we're having hardware wise, it's only going to get worse as time progresses. As
I think it's like the
technology
black.
makes
I
it
think it's like
easier.
the BlackBerry.
You
Yeah,
think so?
exactly.
old ass
That's a
Exactly.
very
That is a
key.
BlackBerry of
And
freaking
Epic
phones.
Games and
That
Epic
is.
Games is like Nokia, right? Where their new
Yeah.
products are kind of all right, but they
Yeah.
have such a great name and great pass for quality and content that
Mhm.
you kind of just end up getting into it anyways.
Exactly.
But BlackBerry, it's like, hey yo, I've never heard anybody say, hey yo, bro, I checked this game out on Stadia, it's hot. I never heard it. I never heard it. I never heard it.
I haven't heard
Yo.
that either. And
Nobody has ever
If-
said, "Hey, Di, I really, I saw your name in the credits of Watchdog Legion on Google Stadia." Nobody said that. Nobody has ever said that. So to me,
Yeah. Yeah,
with
yeah,
the revenue share. Sorry, go ahead, Crow.
yeah. Real talk. Like Stadia's only W in 2020 was the fact that it could win Cyberpunk
With
2077.
no problems at all.
And
That's a
like,
pretty low
that's a
bar,
much
though,
better
right?
option
That's a
if
pretty
you
low-
if you
that's a
wanted
pretty
to play
low
it
bar, though.
instead of like PS4 or Xbox One. So, that was the only W they got. But in my opinion, when I tried Google Stadia, I thought it was one of the best streaming platforms. I did try xCloud. But I really think it depends on how far you're away from one of the data centers. I think being like distant from the data centers, it may give you more latency in that regard. So I think really depends on if your Wi-Fi routers is good, and also like in my opinion, I think being connected on an Ethernet port is the best way to go. So having this on an Android TV, I don't really see this being that successful. But seeing
mean-
the downloads pop up, this got me thinking like is Stadia still
let's
popular
just
thing?
let's just be real over here. Like 50K downloads is not a big number to hit. If it hit, let's just say close to 1 million, that's a huge number.
How many
Right.
Android users are there?
Exactly.
Let's
That's
do
what
that.
I'm saying.
Let's do
That's
that.
what I'm
And
saying.
let's say,
Look at the ratio.
Let
Look at the
me
ratio of
go with
Android
that.
users
Yeah, that
and
starts getting very marginalized.
exactly.
right
no,
here.
if you genuinely want to use numbers, let's
this
talk about
is
the
Android
facts
TV.
here.
This is not the Android
Yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Okay.
This is Android
I-
TV.
Yeah, like, but look at
Oh,
the
that
thing,
is
right?
downloads only on TV.
Okay.
Which I'll
But
be
then
real
you're
with you,
also
I
competing with,
didn't
like,
think
Roku
was
May
and all that
18th,
stuff as well.
May 18th, 2021, from TechCrunch.com, Android TV OS reaches 80 million monthly active devices,
Exactly.
including its
Exactly.
new experience, Google TV for Chromecast,
And
as other platforms like smart TVs. So let's say 80 million is the definitive
the
number.
base number.
Actually, let's say it's over 80 million, right? So let's say 100 million to keep it nice and even, right? Let's say there are 100 million users, and you 50,000. That sounds like 1%
That's
to me, buddy.
weak.
Mhm.
That sounds
That's
like
less than 1%.
that's less than
Less
1%
than-
to
yeah.
me, buddy. Yeah,
Exactly,
and
that's what I'm saying. And
Ooh.
bearing in mind, me,
And-
I'm a very big Android user, right? I have 5 devices, plus I have 4 TVs. That's Android TVs.
But 4
Right.
TVs? Wow.
Yeah, I got 4 TVs.
Got
Like, I
4
got one
wow.
in.
Dude's an animal.
The- No. So the thing is, I got 4 TVs, right? And all of them are Android TVs. Plus, I bought 2 more TVs
Oh, yeah.
for my girlfriend's
Oh, yeah.
house, and
Can you
that's
buy
an
me one?
Android TV.
Can you buy me one? I need a new one.
Bro, I'm trying to get
Right.
OLED.
Since
me
you're
up.
out here
So-
buying, you're out here buying TVs and jank.
No, so the thing is, Android TVs are not hard to come by. right? Of course, you have the markets with Samsung, Sony. Sony is an Android TV. Sharp is an Android TV. Toshiba is an Android TV, right? And you got Hisense as well now that's competing with and that's an Android TV too. So Android TVs are very popular, man. If you think about it very carefully, the only things that's is not Android TV is a Samsung, which runs a Tizen OS, and also LG, which runs a Web OS. That's where you get your things from, right? But other than if 50,000 does not sound like a great number to me at all, like, to be honest with you. And I am a very big tech geek, and I'll tell you honestly, even if they say like this also probably comes under this question of Chromecast being a TV product too.
Yes.
And if they that should be hitting that number as well. But if you can't do that that's not a very promising future, to be honest, for Stadia.
And
How much
Stadia's-
50?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. How many people do you think have subscribed, like in that 50K downloads?
Are they counting preload? Are they counting preloaded downloads? So let's say you buy a brand new Android TV. Are you counting a preloaded download? A download? How are you counting the numbers, right? Because a lot of the times when companies, and I'm sure that Window has experience with this when it comes to marketing and sales, a lot of companies use the term over, and then they ballpark a number like over 80 million. In that TechCrunch article that I read, it's like over 80 million users, right? But when you look at this article, it says only 50,000. So they can't even exaggerate the 50,000. They can't even upsell it to the point where it's like, oh yeah, over 50,000, because it's not an attractive number. Statistically, it's not an attractive number. There are over 130 million Android phone users. There's over 80 million Android TV users, and yet there's only 50,000 downloads. Not, over a million, not over 2 million, not a number that you normally would see as an attractive number.
I guarantee though, like if it hits 1 million downloads, I kid you not, you're gonna be seeing advertisements popping up left, right, and center on any browser that you open up. Right? For saying that subscribe to Stadia, or if you want to enjoy experience, all of these kind of things. And also they will be pushing game marketing like it was nobody's business. The experience first on Stadia, bam, in your face, right? So
yeah, but go back to the point of my Tesla argument. Back in the day, Tesla to keep the comparison.
Not a good comparison.
No, but listen. In the original first year of Tesla was proud to announce that they sold 100 cars. The entire world was like, Toyota, yo, we sold 2 billion last year. What are you talking about, bro? Everybody was like, yo, this is an underdog. They're going to die out quick. Just because in the current stage, they're still small. And just because they're proud of a small feat does not mean that in a few years, they're going to develop their technology even further. Let's say 5 years. Develop their technology even further to then get to the point where it's like, we started with 50,000. How do you like 50 million?
Okay, I'll counter that argument.
I'll agree to that argument, and also it's a very good point in that fact too. But what I said was that I didn't say that it was going to die out quickly, but they need to drastically improve certain things into that product, right? If they can turn around and said, let's just say, yo, you were able to stream a game directly on a thing with 0.5% latency, right? Dope. No word of a lie. You know what I mean? That's dope. But they need to come to that stage. But right now, one of my homies tried it, bro. We were sitting in a freaking hospital and we were bored as shit. And he goes, "Oh, bro, I got Google Stadia." I was there like, "Bro, get out of my face." And and then afterwards, he was there like, "No, try it. Like, since we're bored, we're gonna be here for hours. Let's give it a try." And I was there like, "All right, cool."
Okay. So
he opened it up. It was 17.3 latency. That's what it was showing, and that's not good for me. And he has 5G connection, right? And he's got one of the highest service providers over here, who's got
but you might not be the target demographic. You got to be mindful of that too. Like somebody playing on a normal TV is still playing with 30 millisecond delay, and they're at home.
Sure.
So I'll take that counter argument, right? Let's say Google Stadia is the sleeper company. It is the sleeper platform. GeForce Now, irrelevant. You know,
Mhm.
PlayStation Now, irrelevant. Game Pass, irrelevant. Stadia is the Tesla sleeper of game streaming, right? So let's look at Tesla and what they did to competitors, right? Revolutionary engine mounts, motor mounts, whatever it may be. Speed, looks are stylish, and what else? Technology. All right.
The
So
technology in there is great.
let's look at that stuff, right? So that's what they're holding above their competitors. Okay, so let's look at Google Stadia offering 15% of sales up to 3 million through the end of 2023. So only two years and 3 months.
So actually,
Of that
I
revenue
have
share.
I have
Doesn't
the
make it
quote
look
right
better.
here. I have the quote right here. So yeah, so actually there's an article by Game Industry Biz, and so they're talking about how Google has a new strategy to third-party developers. So there's going to be an 85 to 15 split on individual game sales, and they're also introducing an affiliate marketing program to the third-party developers.
Yes, what that article
so-
doesn't say that is that those sales only go up to 3 million through the end of 2023.
Yeah. So I'm getting to that actually. So, so this split is for 85% of the sales revenue for developers, and it's starting from October the 1st. And the split will apply for the first 3 million sales on the platform. So if you think about it, this is kind of similar to the Epic Games versus the Steam platform. And right now, Epic Games has an 88% cut
Yes.
to the developers. So, and if you remember, like I remember back in the day, like they had Hades and Griftlands as early
I mean,
access games. So
like,
yeah, this
here's
is
a-
a really
but
good
let-
initiative to like indie developers
here's
and
a-
getting
he-
getting more cut to the to the platform.
I understand
I
the
mean,
whole
is-
entire prospect of it. I understand the whole entire thought process behind it. Cool. What they're doing is they're enticing game developers to come into the platform. Great. Brilliant. But what the end user freaking experience, they need to improve on that. That's
but
what
let's
my
talk
point
about
is.
that three.
Here's
Let's
the
talk about
thing.
that 3%. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to get this off. In my opinion, I think Google Stadia is going to end up being irrelevant, mainly just because Microsoft has the advantage on their streaming service because they already have dedicated hardware and their games are on PC. We're in a very early state of game streaming. And with Google trying to come in, who doesn't really have that much of a gaming history, it's going to be a long battle for them. As Slomo's saying in the chat, Google literally saw Microsoft buy Bethesda right before their eyes. So if Microsoft can make an effort to try to get studios to work with them to expand Game Pass, to expand their console brand, and to do, little stupid mobile streaming or whatever, why can't Google put in the same effort besides what they're trying to do with developers right now? And I think Google, what they should have done, and I don't know how they would have been competing in this, but I think Google should have done a native Stadia console first and then introduce the streaming infrastructure on top of that.
I mean, yeah, great topic. What's up, Slow Mo? And yeah, man, it's a really good take. But look at it this way: the amount of resources Google has, right? The amount of things that they have, the end user experience still lacks, right? It still lacks. And if the end user experience is not up to par, no one's going to pay much attention to it. Yes, great. The game developer is going to be on the platform. They're going to be doing all of these kind of things. They're going to have all this push to hit the 3 million sales, whatever it is, the 85-15 split. All that is, it sounds wonderful for a developer. I'm pretty sure, like, if Deli was developing something and
I was
he
gonna
was just,
go ahead and finish your
Yeah.
point.
When you
I'll
saw
talk about
that,
that point.
and you saw that, like, for an indie developer or whatever it is, and it's like, oh, this is actually kind of good because it's going to help me boost up the thing. But if you don't have that enough end user experiences, and you don't have enough of those people who are actually going to be subscribing for this platform, and they're not going to improve all of these things, do you really think it'll be that great. Look at how Netflix turns out. Everyone's got Netflix because the end user experience is there. That's
Mhm.
given to you, which is just like amazing. You don't have to do much, right? It's very simple, straightforward. Everything works fine. You don't have to do much. Now, if they can provide that kind of an end user experience through Google Stadia, I will go ahead and subscribe for it right now. But if you're still having all these issues with the latency, you're still gonna have all these issues when it's gonna like all of a sudden just get disconnected, this, that, and all of this kind of things. I'm gonna get tired of it, and I'm gonna be honest with you. My subscription stops right there until you fix it.
Now, some people are saying
So
that xCloud is trash, and that's really depending on the person. Stadia is good because they have like up to I think 4K for their streaming. But I mean, xCloud, I've tried it at my grandma's place whenever I was just took out my phone. I was playing Banjo Kazooie okay. I was playing Enter the Gungeon okay. Yeah, the problem is the screen artifacts and all that stuff when your connection starts going weak. But it's decent for what we have right now. Like I said, it's going to be a while before game streaming is fully realized. I have not tried Stadia because I don't know exactly how their marketplace works. Because originally it was you had to buy like a full price game just to be able to stream on it, and it's like at that point I'd rather just play the native software on PC or any of the other consoles. With
yeah,
Game
that's
Pass, you have the advantage of paying for the subscription and say, okay, cool, I can stream this on my phone, have touch controls, all that.
yeah, that's definitely a good point. Having to pay a full price game on the Stadia platform, I think they're trying too hard to be a console in the cloud, and I think that pricing strategy really needs to change. And with this 85% split to third parties, I think this is a desperate move from Stadia because they know that their numbers have been falling off. And even with this interview that this website has done, Game Industry Biz did do an interview with the head of Stadia, and they are like, oh, our cloud gaming service is alive and well. So
But also,
I feel like that's
Well,
cap right there. Like, is it really alive? Like your numbers are falling off, so it's
like
all
look
I
at it this.
Heartbeat's a heartbeat.
sorry guys, can I get this in?
Yeah.
All I have to say is, as a developer, on an 85-15 split, Epic Games has offered an 88-12 split indefinitely. I don't have to make up to 3 million in order to continue that 88 split. In Google Stadia, not only do I have to make up to 3 million to keep my 85, anything after 3 million, I'm sure falls back on the 35 or the 30 that they already currently take. So how much money am I losing? Let's say if we do the math, if I sell 100 copies, right? Let's say anything after 90 copies is up to 30% cut. I'm making way more money on those 10 copies indefinitely, even though it's only a 3% split and then a 27% split from the last 10 copies, right? Think of it as like a tax bracket. I'm making way more money on Epic Games' platform than I would on Stadia's platform. Not only does Epic Games has a platform that has a concurrent a user base, usually what happens with Epic Games is that they are very hands-on with a little bit of bribery when it comes to making exclusivity deals for their thing. So let's say like Borderlands 3, they offered Randy Pitchford money up front. They say, okay, we'll front 30 million sales. Like we know from the pre-orders that this game's already going to make $100 million, right? So we'll front you 3 million just to make the game exclusive on Epic Games. And they said, sure. Sure, why not? Right? And there's so much more when it comes to developing a game. Like, do I develop it for Stadia? And then let's say they charge people for, concurrent plays, right? So let's say, I get revenue shared for concurrent plays. Well, my revenue share is consistent from the buy button on Epic Games. There is no concurrent play revenue share. Like I don't have to sit here and refresh the page and hope that somebody plays or 100 people play my game an hour a day in order for me to make $10. Whereas I've already made my 88 split from Epic Games regardless. Even if Epic Games didn't front me any money to make it exclusive to the Epic Games Store.
What if it didn't come to if or and? What if the major benefit that they would get are people wanting to port their games. For example, the whole PlayStation thing we were just talking
Yeah.
about. Like people that normally don't have access or might have that Android TV, etc. Maybe the sales of Android TVs are going to multiply as years go by, right? So what if the overall play that they're trying to do isn't necessarily like, hey, only choose us. Just add us to your back pocket so you guys make a little bit more revenue and we make some revenue while we're at it too, you know?
I understand,
So-
but when you look at that 3% delta between the two competitors, just like bringing it back to that Tesla argument, what is Google Stadia doing that isn't a competitor isn't already doing but better?
Yeah, that we just need to work on it.
You
By
know,
all means.
because like if you look at
for
Game
me,
Pass,
I think it is the better streaming option compared to xCloud. But keep in mind that xCloud is still in beta, so that could improve in the future.
Yeah.
And as Melodic Punk mentioned before, like they do have the Oion technology that they're developing for their platform. So it could improve in the future. And
They also have the Azure cloud servers as well that they've been pushing. Because Microsoft's investing in cloud also. But Microsoft has the advantage of having already native hardware and giving people the option. I think if Stadia were to have a console,
The
I think
ecosystem.
they could probably do a little bit better. Yeah.
well, also Microsoft has the benefit of running Xbox division in the red consistently year after year and not have a single problem.
Yeah, Xbox never made a profit, even since the original Xbox. That's
Yeah.
true.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
Stadia running in
Stadia
the
would
red,
profit by making a
YouTube-
deal with PlayStation.
YouTube running in the red. Google's got a lot of endeavors that are all running in the red. Not that not that Alphabet isn't already making a butt ton of money, but I'm just saying Microsoft itself as a whole is able to sustain Xbox in the red consistently
They
without
got
any
deep
worries.
pockets. So
Without any worries at all.
I mean, we've seen Xbox. Microsoft in general isn't afraid to cut a project, even though they got deep pockets. Mixer
Of
being a
course.
great example.
yeah.
Of course.
All right, so shout out to Snowmo in the chat, Snowmo Backslap. He says Epic paid Remedy $10 million to make Control exclusive from Steam. And yeah, that's a good point. And from this article, I really hope that developers don't fall into this trap. And I feel like this will entice third-party developers to go on Stadia. And do you guys think that third-party developers will start making their games a time exclusive on Stadia now that they
No.
have 85 stake? Or what do you guys think about that?
It's a lot of
Absolutely
work for
not,
that.
because it's
No.
not a big platform right now. We could talk about like maybe 5-10 years in the future. It'd be a possibility.
Like
But as of right now, the better idea would be to just work with someone like Epic or Xbox or PlayStation. Stadia
Like
is
right
not
now-
a big platform right now.
Yeah, for
right
sure.
now, when I look at it, if you have to, as a developer's point of perspective, if I look at it and be like, hey, they're giving me so much money to make it exclusive for so and so, but I'll be sitting there going, bro, there's hardly any motherfucker out there who's gonna sit there and play my games. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna be a bit salty about that.
Let's just compare the numbers. On Google for May 11th, 2021, Stadia accounts are between 1.6 and 2.4 users concurrent. Let's simplify that to 2 million, right? And Epic Games has monthly active user base of 56 million. So if you're telling me that they have over 800%, like they have over double, over triple, over quadruple, over 10 times 20, even almost 25 times the amount of user base on a 3% split, and I make more money. Let's just look at the facts. As a indie
Like
dev,
you said, it
as
comes
a
down to
third
what's
party,
the benefit.
3% and 20 times the user base. Where's the cons? Where are they? Where are they?
There
Plus,
is no pro technically for.
There is no pro.
and there's-
There's no pro for
If
Stadia.
Epic makes the deal to have, let's say the game was a multi-plat, Epic has the advantage of saying like you can release it on consoles, but on PC we want it on Epic Game Store,
Yes.
and we're gonna give you this much money for it because they have all that money, especially like from Tencent. So they have the advantage of that. Google does not have that advantage at all. They can't just do a time exclusive like that because they're platform's not that big enough, and they can get a much better deal from Epic and still have the advantage of being multi-plat.
And also, Google shut down their in-house studios. That doesn't look too good from a third-party.
I was about to
developer.
say, as far as funding, we know they got the money, but I think it really just comes down to the fact that in the gaming world ecosystem, whatever, they're just not that big. And it just like any company, if they're not getting much return, they might not invest much. So that's why we might see like this slow, like fucking say snail speed progression from Google. Because as a company, that might be like, we only got that department open because Jerry really wants it open at this point. You get me?
Which is fine, like I said. But if we look at 2 million to 56 on just the nearest competitor, the nearest newest competitor, because Epic Game Store has only been open since 2018, December, so the beginning of 2019. So it's only been open for about 2 years now. And Stadia has been open for roughly about the same amount of time. So you're looking at from competitor to competitor. Epic Game Store is, over 20 times the user base concurrently. At what point do you look at it and say, yes, Google Stadia is the move? Not only do they have a better revenue share, up to 3 million for only the next 2 years. So let's say I'm developing a game now, and here comes 2023, and I only get up to 3 million by the end of the year. Then what? I go back to
I would definitely
I go back
say,
to 30%.
especially with Epic being out there, they just need to
Yeah.
check those pros and cons list.
Yeah. But I mean,
Because instead of being Tesla right now, they're Chevy with the recalls. Change my mind.
I don't.
Yeah, for real.
I don't want to be a Stadia hater. I really don't. And I have a lot of gripes on Epic Games as well too. But if we're looking strictly at the facts, as a developer myself, where I would want to develop from, Google Stadia would never come out of my mouth. Personal opinion.
Google Stadia would
Yeah,
hardly
definitely
come
feel
out of my
that,
mouth,
yeah.
and I'm not even a developer. I understand the technicalities behind it, but yeah, Google Stadia will never come out of my mouth. The first thing that comes out of my mouth is either PC, PlayStation, or Xbox.
Yeah.
That's it. Done.
What's Stadia?
Yeah.
What is it? Oh shit! I forgot about that.
Yeah, the thing is like how do you convince somebody to pay a full retail price on a game that only exists on a cloud platform? And that's a really risky endeavor. And like
Raw.
I would rather buy a game on a PS4 than even if it's not like 4K or anything like that. Like even buying it on PS4, like you would get more performance out of that. Especially if you are playing on Wi-Fi and like things can go in and out with the it's not consistent with playing on Stadia with Wi-Fi. So
Dude,
Yeah,
I would
that's a
rather
huge-
just play. I would rather play that type of game on Switch at 15 frames per second at sub HD than play a cloud version of the game.
Isn't
Sound is-
Stadia Pro
True.
only
Just
10
download it
bucks?
on my phone.
Is it 10 bucks?
something like that. I'm not sure.
So okay, so if we look at Stadia lumping in the 70% of all revenue generated by pro subscriptions will be split upon partners depending on how many days players have on it, right? So let's say I meet the requirements every single time. My indie game meets the requirements every single time. 70% of $10 is $7. So you're telling me that if 100 people, I only make $700 on membership subscriptions? That is negligible amounts of cash compared to the 3% that I could be making indefinitely from Epic Games. Furthering my point that like Stadia is making all these crazy claims that sound good, but I can't possibly bring myself to move to that platform, crunching the numbers, actually doing the math. Like sitting here and doing it myself, I'm like, it doesn't sound great.
Unless, like I said earlier, and I'll bring this point up again, unless they improve that end user experience, there is no way they're going to be able to even be on par with any other competitors out there, right? And I'm being strictly honest, like I am the kind of guy who is lenient, laid back, and I want everything handed to me. Convenience is key, right? In this point. And if shit don't work right, I get frustrated and I stop easily. and
Yeah.
I don't want to pursue it any longer. Like I had problems with Amazon Prime Video, and I only had it because I got Amazon Prime subscription, right? Every yearly. So I got like, okay, cool. I'll get and watch Amazon Prime. And they were so boggy at that time. I'm bearing in mind this is like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And I was so boggy at that point, I just like, I don't want it. Even if I got it for free, I still didn't use it. Right. And the only reason I had Amazon Prime was next day delivery. That shit was on point. So um unless they fix that convenience part of things and given to us easily, there's not a lot of people who are going to be sitting there and being like wowed by it, right? And I'm strictly looking at this point of view as a lazy guy, right? A lazy gamer. That's what I'm saying. And shit has to be on point with me when it comes to like able to stream things. Like
Yeah.
if for example, if Netflix starts buffering halfway through the middle of the thing, I'll be like, fuck this, I'm changing this and I'm gonna watch a live TV. Right? That's just me. And if a game does that and it gets frustrating over point or time and again, I'll be like, yeah, no, thank you. I'll just load up my PC and I'll play that directly there.
All right, so it is 8:15.
Yes.
So Deli, did you have to go?
Yeah, I was gonna say thank you so much for having me here, guys. I really appreciate that. I'm happy to have ended on the Stadia topic. It was very insightful. It was very wonderful to speak with you guys and obviously speak with everybody in chat. Melodic, it was very, very nice to meet you. I hope to
Nice to
see
meet you.
you on in future terms. You're always more than welcome to interact with me on Twitter. Because that goes directly to my phone. But for everybody here, I'm just gonna say my outro. Hello, my name is Agent Deli. I'm a recurring panel member on the Sly Crow's Nest Talk, and I'm very, very happy to be here consistently and every other week or bi-weekly or whatever it may be. I'm an ex AAA game developer, and if you guys want to reach me on any of my socials, Twitter would probably be the most advantageous. So.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I
All right.
always appreciate you, being on the
Peace,
show.
bro.
Peace.
Have a good day at work.
Yeah,
Much
yeah,
love.
always. All right, later, guys.
Yeah, take it easy,
Goodbye.
bro. Yeah, later. I gotta fix these boxes. Okay. All right, let's just keep it like that. Yeah. So moving on here. Did you guys have any other points on this Stadia topic?
I
have
mean,
nothing more to
that's
add.
nothing more to add to that. Like I said, I stay my point regarding when it comes to end user experience, and that's about it, really. That's what they need to fix on heavily.
Okay. All right. So moving on here. So we are gonna be talking about the Nintendo Switch OLED model, and yeah. So it's definitely a low blow for Nintendo, but let's get into the details. So on July the 6th, Nintendo did still drop a new trailer on the Twitter for the Nintendo Switch OLED model. And it is a nice, slight quality of life update. You have the 7-inch 720p OLED screen. It does feature a wider kickstand. And at first I was like, who plays this joint on tabletop mode like that? Like I feel like the kickstand is kind of a weird thing. But if you think about it, like they are introducing some party games. The Clubhouse games is a cool idea. Playing that on the kickstand like that. So I think the tabletop mode is something that people might do with the OLED model. You never know. But there has been a lot of rumors of the Switch Pro, and it's unfortunate that Nintendo didn't go that route. But if you think about the chip shortage at the moment, I think that's why they went with the revision. There's also been a rumor that NVIDIA has been working on a new chip. They have been working on 2019. They did bring out the NVIDIA Orin chip, and this Orin chip has actually been used in self-driving cars with autonomous driving features.
Autonomous driving, yeah.
So this is a huge upgrade in my opinion if they use that chip, but it's unfortunate that they didn't choose any of those chips there. And And so what do you guys think about this argument? Like, do you think Nintendo should have skipped this year? And like, if there is a chip shortage, they should have waited, the next year to bring this out, right? So what do you guys
Here's
think
what
about?
I'll say. Nintendo themselves never claimed to work on an upgrade version of the Switch. I think they have previously denied it before. And if we're gonna and the thing is like it doesn't surprise me that Nintendo wasn't gonna do a Pro. Is it disappointing? Yes, I'm with everybody in that regard, but they never said anything about the Switch model, being upgraded because Nintendo, love them or hate them, they're gonna do their own thing. So it's no surprise to me that they're not following the trends of what their competitors are doing. And also, if you look at this from a historical lens, they always do, and their new next generation console on an average about like 5 to 6 years. So if you look at Nintendo 64 to GameCube, 5 years. The Wii to the Wii U, that's like 5 or 6 years. Wii U to Switch, that's like 4.5 to 5 months. Look at their handheld line, Game Boy Advance to DS, 5 years. Nintendo DS to 3DS, 5 years. 3DS, I think, lasted for a little bit longer than usual, but that's like around 6 or 7 years. So to me, I think it's just they're getting ready for their next gen hardware, which is most likely going to be a sequel, a successor to the Switch. Because Nintendo's also had a history of making successors to their most popular devices. Going from NES to SNES, going from Wii to Wii U, going from Game Boy to Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, 3DS. You get that idea. So for me, like I've always said, I don't like. We can talk about rumors and speculation on a podcast, like that's absolutely fine. But going through Twitter, going through all these different YouTube accounts, it's like, dude, I don't really care about these rumors. I care about what the companies themselves are gonna have to say.
Like, I completely agree with you on that point. Like, once you open up on YouTube and Twitter and all these speculation that's going on there, you're digging into it, going through this rabbit hole and coming to the end point where they're like, whatever you get yourself hyped up for after reading the Twitter post or opening up the YouTube video or whatever it is, you're gonna be disappointed when it doesn't fucking hit the
Yeah,
shelves.
like I hate to defend Nintendo on this, but it's like I blame the community, I blame the fan base, and I blame the insiders on this. Yes, the Switch OLED, it's a very disappointing revision, but this is basically their 3DS XL. So we're gonna have to wait like another year or two. We'll see what comes by, but at the same time,
Sorry.
I was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
I'll be real. I'm on the unpopular opinion. I, for one, an individual that has always wanted a Switch but never pulled the trigger. Like I was always like, you know what?
This is definitely a great option.
I was like,
this is a great option
I
for you.
want it, and especially because like I'm a content creator. So beforehand, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I don't necessarily see the reason to pull the trigger. But now when like outside looking in, I see, hey, upgraded screen, HDMI port for like the competitive advantage and stuff like in Smash Brothers
You
and
mean
stuff.
the Ethernet port? It's not like HDMI.
The Ethernet, yeah, I don't know why I said HDMI. The Ethernet port.
We got the
yeah,
Ethernet
yeah,
point right
HDMI.
here already. What you mean?
No, but what I'm saying is I don't have to buy an extra attachment. You get me?
No, that's
selling an attachment for it is the Apple way to do it, in my eyes.
Yeah.
So whenever I see it integrated on there, I'm like, you know what? It's making it more of a bargain deal for me. And then at that point, I'm like, you know what? Anybody that didn't have a Switch, arguably now between the Lite and the upgraded Switch model, has more of a reason to pull the trigger, because the Lite, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to keep that old resolution. I mean, not the old resolution, the old screen.
Yeah, it's basically the same. So basically, Nintendo did a under the cover SoC revision. It's basically the same Tegra X1, but it's with a more efficient manufacturing process. So that allowed people to have more battery life than the OG Switch. And I believe it's only about 1.5 hours more battery time than the OG Switch.
And, that's big for somebody like me, bro. I'm the guy that gets 6,000 milliamp hour batteries on phones just because I absolutely hate being in the middle of something and be like, oh, I gotta go charge it. Hold on, let me go get my charger.
Yeah. Like that. I agree on that point too. Like for me, a device, if it's running on a battery, I want the highest milliamp battery right there, because to be honest with you, getting cut off in the middle of doing something just kind of stresses me the fuck out. Trying to find the charger, trying to find something to plug my device in. And yeah, like it's great for Nintendo. Like I can see, like it's a starting point for people who want to invest on a console from them. Like I was holding back, like just like Windows said, I was holding back on the Switch in order to buy it. I even play Nintendo Switch games on an emulator on my PC because for me, to be honest, I just didn't want it to have that physical device. But if this provides me that, why not? I'll just invest in it, right? So I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and as discussed, whenever I guess appeared on Scumcast, shout out to Ash and Luca. Yes, it is a better deal, a better value to spend $50 less and get an Xbox Series S and get Game Pass and all that stuff. But we're talking about in the perspective of do you like Nintendo games and do you want a library of games already available to you? Because yes, Xbox has Game Pass, but there's not a whole lot of next generation Microsoft titles out right now. And, you know, the screen is going to be 720p. You're still going to have like the same issues that you've been having for current games. But if we're going to really like reach for anything objectionably better, it's going to have better colors. It's obviously going to look better than the current model. For me personally, I don't need to get this thing. And that's the thing that I don't know why people are freaking out. If you already have a Switch, you don't got to buy this thing. You're good. Like,
If
save
you want
your
a
money.
better screen, use the HDMI, right?
Yeah, or buy an OLED TV if you want to go that far.
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think this is it is a scummy move. I think they should have bought this out in 2019. Like these guys were waiting 5 years just to bring out the OLED screen. Like I feel like that's a really scummy move by Nintendo. And
Actually, it's been 4 years since the Switch release,
Well,
so we would probably
who's to say they
hear
don't
something
have
next
another
year,
version?
2023.
Yeah, like that's the point. Like, who's to say they don't have another version? You know what I'm saying? Like,
And it's probably their next
oftentimes,
gen
like,
console.
yeah, like even before PS4 came
Mhm.
out, there was like a last minute iteration of the PS3, like a year
Yeah,
before
yeah.
or two, right?
So like
Released,
I had
like even
I had
slimmer or newer edition, etc.
Yeah, it's like,
I had the 2 devices from PlayStation, the original fat box, the Linux running operating system shit. But then at the same time, I had the slim version too, and I'll tell you what, I preferred the slim version because it was easy to maneuver around and take it places and stuff like that. But with having this OLED thing with Nintendo, yeah, man, I don't mind actually investing a little if I can be portable and I can carry it out, and it's $50 cheaper. Cool, no worries.
yeah, and somebody
Yeah.
in the chat saying it's $50 less than PlayStation Digital. That is also true. And like I said, both Microsoft and Sony, they're at the beginning of next gen. And yes, Nintendo will do whatever they can to nickel and dime people. But at the same time, can you find a PS5 in store? No.
That's what I was
You can-
about to say. Like, I'll be real with you. If somebody
You can
with
find a Series
PS5
S in store, but you're
I was
not
gonna say,
finding a PS5 right now.
Yeah,
with somebody that has a PS5, low key, I understand it's only
Right.
$50 less than the digital, but
still jealous.
which one can you actually get?
And
You know
on
what I
top
mean?
of that, the Switch has been out for 4 years. You already have an established library. Except if you own a Wii U, you're kind of screwed because you already played half of those games. But if you're somebody who has not picked up a Nintendo system since the Wii, then why not go with the OLED? You already have an established library waiting for you.
I haven't
Yeah, right
owned
there.
a Nintendo. I haven't owned a Nintendo system since NES, right? And
Oh
that's
yeah,
it.
you definitely got
Damn,
some
bro.
homework right there.
Right, you got some catching up to do. NES.
So
Bro.
the thing with this is that with the specs here, like the Switch is barely running 1 teraflop of performance. I believe it's like 500 G flops. But the thing I will give credit to is the devs that optimize their games on the hardware that they have. Like, in my opinion, the best looking games right now on the Switch are Resident Evil Revelations 2. Like, whoever ported that game on the Switch did an amazing job. Like, that game looks incredible, and it's actually 1080p native when docked. So they did just an awesome job with that port. Then you have Breath of the Wild, that looked amazing. and also you have like Super Mario Odyssey, and pretty much all the Mario games looked really really good on the Switch. But the
As
thing
they
is,
should, because they're first party.
yeah, yeah. But the thing is, if you look at many of their Wii U remasters they did, many of them ran at, I believe it was like 900p to 1080p dynamic resolution. So I feel like with this, like you really need a hardware upgrade here. Like the fact that you're not running full 1080p on your games, like that's a huge deal breaker, especially if you're expecting your customers to pay $60 per title for these games.
Part of me wants to say that they tried to stay below 1080p to focus on more of the handheld running it at a better resolution, but that's not even a good argument because Xenoblade Chronicles 2, oh my god, that game looks horrible on handheld. Like it's below 480p, and to me that's inexcusable. So like for me, it's like yes, that's one of the things that kind of pissed me off about the Switch not getting a Pro model right now. So. And also, I'm going to add another game to the best looking Switch game list. Luigi's Mansion 3 looks gorgeous on
Yes.
that.
I saw the trailer for that, and that looked great, to be honest.
It looks gorgeous. But yeah, I agree with like the current Nintendo remasters and all that stuff. With Xenoblade Definitive Edition, I think they were better off just keeping the original art style and just giving it an upscale to 1080p rather than just redo all the character models to coincide with Xenoblade 2, because honestly, I don't like Xenoblade 2's art style. And yes, the original Wii version of that game, like the models were looking crazy. But playing Xenoblade Chronicles at 60 frames per second, 4K on Dolphin, that game feels like a next generation experience compared to what we have on
Really?
Switch.
Yeah, I
It
haven't
looks
really messed
really
around
good.
with the
Especially if you
emulator,
get the
so-
textures as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I,
so,
I
like-
did actually try Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I thought it was a really, really great game. I think it's because of the fact that the world is so big that they're having issues with their the resolution. And I believe I was reading into it. It was saying like let me see if I can find it here. Like I believe it was like running as low as like 500p on the handheld when you were playing that in the handheld. On docked, it ran as low as
720.
I think it was like under that. I think it was like
Oh, you're talking about for Xenoblade 2?
Xenoblade D Definitive Edition.
Okay. But
Yeah.
now, like, I mean, Xenoblade Definitive Edition, like, that game should have been running so much better, especially because it's like, yeah, I understand you redid the models in that game, but to have that game run at such a low resolution is a slap in the face. But where I would say the only justified reason you would ever want the Definitive Edition is if you want to play the cut content, which thankfully you don't have to replay the entire game to get access to that cut content. So theoretically, I could enjoy the Dolphin version of Xenoblade Chronicles right now, and then if I want to go play that cut content, I just go on the Switch and deal with the shittier looking version of that game.
All right, so I have it right here. So actually, Xenoblade Chronicles DE, it ran on docked. It ran 500p to 720p. It didn't even touch as close to 1080p. On handheld mode, it came all the way down to 350p to 540p. So
Yeah,
I really think that they really need a hardware upgrade. They should have delayed this next year. Maybe when the chip shortage situation got a little bit better on that year. And like we're in 2021, bro, and like we can get an Oculus Quest 2, like a full-on standalone VR headset, and we're still having a Switch that struggles for 540p handheld on some of the on this game.
But with the
particularly.
Quest, you're also having to buy a whole lot of other accessories like you would with the Switch as well. Because a lot of people that I know have the Quest have to spend like the extra $50 for the better headband. And then if you want to use this on PC, you're going to have to pay $80 for that cable. So just like the Switch, it's a very expensive upfront cost when you have to buy the additional accessories and everything.
Yeah, that cable is really misleading. Like, that's a marketing ploy by Oculus. Like, you can buy a third party. If you buy a third party USB-C to USB-A cable, you can actually do the PC link stuff as well. So,
Hmm.
I
but
mean,
yeah, like, like if
correct
you
me.
think about the mobile hardware, like we're reaching a point where they can actually go to 1 teraflop of performance, and that's actually close to the Xbox One in performance.
Well, I was gonna
So
say, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we see a specific title that does not perform well on the Switch, right? Isn't that more of a developer issue? Because I personally, as somebody that's gotten a chance to play, ported titles like Mortal Kombat, it's like, hey, it might not look as good, but you can still play it on the right, the good resolution, good frame rate. You're just playing on like the lowest setting. So isn't that just more of a developer saying, you know what, we're not going to try that hard because it's the Switch? Like, why blame
Yeah,
it on the Switch?
and I'll add to that, like you have games like Fortnite, which was a surprise when that game came to that system. That game is running at like 30 FPS, probably even less. But then you look at a game like Rogue Company, and out of my surprise, Rogue Company runs really well on the Switch despite having a lower resolution. And the thing is like, yes, a 4K Switch is something we would all want, but think about the logistics of it. You got a console. Let me
That's
detach my
yay
Joy-Cons.
yeah,
big.
it
Yeah,
is,
That's
yeah,
4K
yay big.
screen.
it is
You
How
really
don't need that,
far-fetched
bro.
on
are
a
you
small device like that. Yeah,
I
Yeah,
think
it's like
1080p with super sampling is all that's needed
do a
on that.
1080p screen, 60 FPS support, and then make the dock capable of doing 4K. That's the more realistic route because
Mhm.
this thing is not a PlayStation. It's not an Xbox. It's a freaking tablet. And I'm not
Mhm.
trying to
Yeah,
damage control or anything,
it's
but
the
it's
newer
like
Game Boy,
think
basically.
about these rumors in advance before you go and like stick with them. Not to you all specifically, but to the community overall.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
think about you don't know what you're asking for, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. And actually, there was a pretty interesting argument for this OLED Switch. And so he goes by Dave2D. You can find him on YouTube. And I did watch his video on this.
He's a great channel, by the way.
Yeah, definitely a great tech channel, and he made a pretty interesting point here. So he said you want to keep the Switch at a 720p screen for the less power draw and less strain on the mobile CPU and the GPU, and that's a good point because you want to have as much battery time as possible. So this is
Yeah,
this is a
because
pretty good point.
Nintendo has had a dominant grip on the handheld market. So for them, like even with going back to like the original Game Boy and all that, they've been
It's been
focusing
their
on
best selling
okay,
consoles.
yeah, because like they could be like, all right, we could be like Sega and the GameCube, and we could do like a full color thing, but that battery life is only gonna last 3 hours. Let's create a device that may not look as good as the NES, may only have like this green and black, color count, but it's gonna last you for about 8 hours. Now, unfortunately, with 3DS, battery life's not that great. The Switch, the day one Switch has horrible battery life, but the revision right now, 3 to 5 hours it's
It's
decent
tempting.
for yeah. Actually, I think it's no 3 to 5 hours was for the original model. The newer model is like what 5 to 9 hours, something like that.
It's
Feel free
it's,
to
it's about 4.5 to 9 depending on the game.
yeah. So it's gotten better, and the Switch OLED I think is using that same battery. I think at the very least they should have added even a better battery to the Switch OLED itself. But the
Hmm.
thing is with like Nintendo, they've been doing the handheld market for all these years. I think it's best for
It
them to
dominated.
focus on doing a better life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
yeah, so he did, Dave 2D did make a lot of interesting points here. So he does talk about the sales figures as well. And, I believe there was an article back then where, for 30 consecutive months, the Switch was outperforming every other hardware on the market. And he made a good point that from the last fiscal year, March 2020 to March 2021, the Nintendo Switch actually sold 29 million units. And he was saying like if they were to release a Switch Pro with the better beefier specs, like the scalpers would have a field day with this device, and it'll be very hard to find it. And and also with the chip shortage, like it'll be very hard to fabricate or manufacture like these switches to meet the demand. So
Like,
that's
let
a
me
pretty
just
good
bring it
point.
down. That's a very good point when it comes to chips, right? Because, like I said, I'm a big tech guy when it comes to these kind of things, right? And especially with the chip, the best mobile chip out there right now is Qualcomm Snap processor 888, right? And that is got some amazing specs on there. The amount of capability that chip can draw, the power it has, and everything is brilliant. Now, these chips are going to be installed in the latest models of phones that's going to be coming out. That's been showcased, right? These just for having these chips, the value of the phone goes from between $300 all the way to $1,000, right? Because
Depending on
that's
the
how
chip, you're right.
yeah, that's how powerful this chip is, right? So having a Snapdragon Qualcomm Snapdragon processor at 888, you're expecting that chip to be worth at least a $900 range. And bearing in mind, depending on the company that's providing it, for example, Samsung, Sony, whoever it is, right? That's gonna go coming close to almost $1,200 phone itself. Now imagine this capability having it on the Nintendo Switch, right? And able to do that. Do you really think a Nintendo Switch Pro is not going to come close to what is it now? 450, I believe, for the 400 for the OLED, correct?
350 here in America.
Yeah, yeah. So 350. So that'll be about $300 over here, right? So let's just say if you happen to have this amazing chip in there, just having that amazing chip in there will come up to close to about $600-$700, bro. And that's what you're going to be expecting for it to be able to do that. And like, it's true, scalpers are going to have a fucking field day with it, especially being a game console, B, the freaking value of that chips that's going to be providing.
Right,
in
if it
there.
comes with that, people are gonna start mining on the Switch.
Yeah. Mining
Right.
on the go. It's a hybrid a GPU miner. You can dock it and mine there or take it with you on the go.
Yeah,
Be at
Yo,
McDonald's mining, right?
I mean, it's harder to mine on a mobile chip than is on a separate GPU. But yeah, the idea lies behind that. It's just that these scalpers over here, they're gonna be trying to flip as much as possible and try to make a quick bug out there. So they will have all these bots set up just so they can bypass this botting system and everything like that. So they can go ahead and have a field day with it. And the people that's gonna be suffering the most is the gamers out there who really want to hold a console, who really want to be able to enjoy all of these kind of things. So yeah, I completely agree on that aspect of things that the scalpers are going to have a field day with this.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Nintendo appeals to families, it appeals to children, it appeals to everybody. But when it comes to a family setting, you're most likely going to buy them a Nintendo console over a PlayStation or an Xbox because you know that they're going to feel a little bit more safe when it comes to their game library. So if Nintendo were to drop a $600 console, nobody's fucking buying that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Pardon
not for
my
your
language.
kids.
Nobody is buying that. If somebody dropped the Switch, somebody's getting spanked. I'm sorry.
I mean, you bring up a great point. Like, my only experience with a Switch has been either a friend that has it or my little nephew. He doesn't have an Xbox. He doesn't have a PlayStation, but his parents did get him the Switch. He plays at home. He plays on the go. But considering target demographic too, like, let's be real. We're all a little bit on the older side. We still love Mario. We still love Zelda and all that. But we were the ones that made them all their money when we were 10 years old, 5 years old, etc. Yeah,
they got us.
We're buying into nostalgia, but the new generation is us 10, 20 years ago, low key. And then they're going to buy for the nostalgia in another 20 years. They have this cycle that is flawless. And by targeting the younger audience, they're just going to keep winning in their own category. Because like you said, they dominate the handheld field. they've always have the handheld units have always been their most profitable when it comes to everything. So why would they switch? Why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, and somebody who has a nephew who's about to be 5 years old in October, he's really into Mario. He's like, "Hey, Uncle Trent, I like Mario. Let's play Mario," and all this other stuff. And my brother has a Switch Lite. His wife has a Switch Lite. They were into Animal Crossing, so it's a good system for them to pass over to my nephew or my niece once she's actually old enough to get into like video games and all that stuff. And they're gonna feel 100% safe. Like Nintendo knows that they're trying to appeal to kids and they're trying to appeal to an adult audience. It's like back in the GameCube is when they really tried on the power narrative and on to the mature audience. But the problem is, none of us bought the GameCube. I mean, I got a GameCube, but like nobody at the time was really caring about the GameCube. It was PS2 all the rage. And if you were on Xbox, you were all in on Halo. So it's just like Nintendo tried with the power narrative and it just doesn't work for them. So who's to say that I would love for Nintendo to do a traditional console again. I would absolutely love to see that, but realistically, I think they're in the day and age and the markets where it's just like we can just focus on our handheld and appeal to families that want to buy their kids these systems.
And I don't think Nintendo even wants to even think about creating a system that's just like going to be dominated by PlayStation and Xboxes out there, and just to compete with them. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
a good point.
hey, you know what? Leave those heavy duty consoles for them. Let's just focus on this. Let me go ahead, since it's not broken. Why the hell am I going to change anything? Let me just carry on with this and create handle devices or something that's family orientated, and we'll go to. And I've seen it. Like, I believe my nephew, right? He had a 3DS, right? And bro, he used to sit there and he would play on it non-stop, right? And now he's he's in his 14s. He's not touching that anymore, but he's passed it on to his little sister. He's like, you know what, just go ahead and play that. You can just stop bothering me, just hold on to this. So you can see, like Windows said, the cycle is just going around, and it's just going to keep going to the next generation. Eventually, if I do have a kid, I'm going to be able to buy him something that's going to keep me away from my phone and my systems. So they're like, hey man, just take this, keep it at you, don't come and bother me.
Yeah, so I did want to get into this next topic, but it is getting a bit late here, and Melodic does need to go at you said it's 8:50, right?
Yeah, like if we can go into the next topic, I can say my piece and then leave you all.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Like I think we can wrap it up now. My opinion on this is just Nintendo being scummy once again. It's like at this point they're like the king of finesse. They're like that gold chain hustler on the street with the gold chain and the Yeezys.
Dude,
And,
like that's Skyward Sword amiibo. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I'm not paying $30 for amiibo. Fuck that. Like I'm not even buying that amiibo, and I don't even collect amiibos anymore. But they're wrong for that one.
Yeah, yeah. And I was burned back in the day when they released the new Nintendo 3DS, like when they decided that it was a good idea to have like a C stick on the right side, and that made it much easier to play like Ocarina of Time 3D, and also like they had a Super Smash Bros as well. So I felt super burnt by that. Like I didn't want to give Nintendo any money for that. Like I felt like that was the scummy move with the new Nintendo 3DS. Yeah,
Interesting.
but
That's why I think they're also waiting for next generation to upgrade hardware if they're going to do a Switch successor. Because I think they realize that them doing the new 3DS XL, that they were splitting the community on that one because some games were running better on the new 3DS and some games were exclusive to that system. And I think they're not trying to repeat that, although there are remedies to fix that, as we've seen from Xbox and PlayStation with the next gen hardware. But I think they're just gonna wait it out for another year or two before they release new hardware.
Yeah, and they back in the day they did bring out some exclusives on the new Nintendo 3DS. Like they had Binding of Isaac, and
Xenoblade.
like that was a popular roguelike back in the day. I really wanted that on
Mhm.
the 3DS, and that was that tilted me knowing that it wasn't available on the 3DS, and it's
Oddly enough, it's
exclusive.
now on the Switch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I can just play it on the Switch now.
Yeah. Or just get it on Steam for like $5 instead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That could possibly happen. You never know. But
All
yeah,
right.
man.
All right, yeah.
That's
So it is time to wrap it up. I do appreciate you guys tuning in live, and let's get into our outros. And let's start with Joker Gamer V3.
Yo, thank you for having me again, Crow, as a recurring member on the show. And it's nice meeting you, Melodic. It was fun chatting with you, dude.
Nice to meet you.
And yeah, Window, you know me, always there on your chat, always chatting away, and you don't need no introductions
I
from
can't get
me.
rid of you, bro.
Um,
Like, oh, I've known y'all for too long at this point.
but I appreciate it, Crow. Hope you guys in the chat had a fun time listening to a podcast. I appreciate you all. If you know me, if you want to talk to me or hit me up or anything, you can always follow me on Twitter, which is JokerGamerV. And yeah, man. See you all next time.
Yeah, bro. Always appreciate you coming on. It's always a fun time. And so let's go with the Window the Maze.
What up? No, I appreciate you having me here, man. And like I said, I'm kind of the reason that we started late, so it might be that we didn't get to reach the last topic there. But if anything, as far as a plugin, you can search Window the Mace anywhere and you'll find me. But I appreciate the fact that I was able to come back, and above all, the fact that you guys waited. Because even though these conversations can get a little bit long-winded sometimes, I still thoroughly do enjoy them. I love healthy debates and stuff like that. That's something that everybody everywhere needs to just do a little bit more of. And be mindful that this will go to a video format after the fact. So if there's anybody watching after the fact that made it this far, leave a comment down below so you can help out Crow's channel for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yo, if you guys are tuning in this far, y'all are the MVPs. So I definitely appreciate you
Shout out to y'all.
coming to this far. And yeah, let's go with our guest here, Melodic Punk.
Great show. A lot of great discussions. This is a very well structured show. So my hats off to you, Crow. This is a really great show. It's nice meeting you, Joker. It's nice meeting you, Windu. It's nice meeting you, Deli. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at The Melodic Punk. You can find me on YouTube at The Melodic Punk. You can find me on Twitch at Just Melodic Punk. And for those that are interested in any sort of music, like pop punk music, I have a new single out on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Amazon called Odd One Out. And you can find me just searching up Trenton Walls. And thanks for having me on.
All right, definitely. Sounds good. And yeah, once again, thank you guys for coming through. It's definitely a great discussion. And if you walk with your boy, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We are doing a bi-weekly podcast, and I am planning on putting this on Spotify. So you guys can check it out there if you're interested. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at the Sly KO. And I'm also here on YouTube as well. And so yeah, it's definitely a great discussion. And this is your boy Krow signing off. And I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.